how to like actually create more regulation or create more value of the presence. So here's another thing. Remember I said that everything that you bring in from your past is actually you're recreating it in the present, and everything in the future is what you're harnessing right now, because the present is the only moment you have. So then the magic is, how can I stay only in the present, right? Because then I'm not fucking thinking about all the past shit that's coming with me. And then I'm not worrying about all the future shit that I'm not going to be able to do or do. So how can I stay truly in the present? That is my honest biggest tool or gift to be able to give to you guys, as staying and creating inner peace and not being able to manifest like an anxious future. And again, this goes back to deep meditations, even in India, even in like Buddhism, where they talk about just being present is enough, because you already have all the answers within you. You're already inside of you. You know the direction you have to go. You can feel, and you need that also teaches you to trust more your intuition, trust yourself when you come to certain situations. But when you're not in the present, you're using your anxiety from the past, you're using your fears from everything else, you're using the bullshit from society, using all the crap from social media to influence how you actually make a decision. And so that's what's ultimately making you so anxious. So the truth is staying in the present. So then the next thing becomes, okay, yeah, how can we stay in the present? So here are some of my magical tools that I use that I want to share with you of living in the present. Number one, breath work. I cannot swear above anything else, or like more than anything else, about breathwork and meditation. Now, you can separate the two, but breathwork is a very, very, very strong principle, especially from where I come from in the East, which is something that is sworn by and taught, especially in like schools that specialize either in yoga and like regulation, breath, and like meditation stuff, any of those things. You have to use breathwork. The science of this is that your heart, which remember I told you when you get stressed, your heart starts beating a lot faster. Your heart and your lungs are linked, and they're connected to one of the nerves in your brain so that they react the fastest when you're stressed. Now, the interesting thing about it, however, is you can control both your heart and your brain through your lungs. So if you're able to manipulate the way you breathe, your breathing tells your heart that, hey, nothing's actually wrong, you can chill. And that tells your brain, hey, nothing's wrong, you don't have to send those stress hormones through. Which is why I say whenever you're in stressful situations, try and step into breath work. You can, the best you can, like being able to breathe, to ground yourself. This is not healing your past trauma. Remember, breath work is grounding you in the present. You can use types of breath work to get to your past trauma of where you actually need the healing and where you can work through, the trauma regulation. But this is to regulate you in the present and keep you in the present moment. You guys have a whole set of breathwork tools that are in your Kajabi. So your Kajabi is basically, you go onto the efccommunity.com login page. And if you log in there, you should have an email and an ID. So it's your Inner Yats membership page. On there, you go to the EFC community thing, and there's a whole bunch of breathwork tools available. And I think I actually even added 2 more of those, like that were pretty, that I don't think I've taught many people about. And one was about grounding through the body, which is something, again, I learned in India. It's a psychosomatic breathwork. So there's like 5 or 6 that are there that are really good for you. And I would encourage box breathing is always a good one. The more you start doing this, the more your body gets comfortable with a regular state of breathing. And it starts to get comfortable with a regular state of being. And so now when you have a lot of like traumatic bullshit that starts showing up in your life, your body is like, no, thank you. And your energy starts to unconsciously reject it. So again, for those of you who've been in the Matrix, not Matrix, and the Gauntlet, you'll remember my comment about the Matrix, right? When I said you can unconsciously stop bullets. You don't have to dodge them anymore, because you now start to push them away just with your energy, your safety, your regulation. Again, we'll dive a little more into that, the law of attraction stuff again, which is next week. Not next week, whatever, the week after next, but the next call that we have. So breathwork, you have a bunch of tools. Meditation. Now, how many of you have heard of mindfulness meditation? Raise your hands if you've heard about it. Beautiful. Mindfulness meditation and forgot the name. I forgot. But mindfulness meditation, and it's a type of gratitude meditation which is focused on like love and your heart center. These are amongst the strongest meditation techniques that came from Tibet. And they came from, well, Buddha was technically from India, but spent most of his time in Tibet. And these meditation techniques are what the monks still use very strongly there. So mindfulness is just the ability to get into the present and be mindful about even the smallest thing. This thing is amazing because it allows you to, even when you do it more often, it brings you so much in the present. You start to really dance with the textures of your food. You start to feel like what you're drinking. You start picking up your phone less because you want to be present in where you are. So you do things like just very specifically in the present moment. You feel them, you enjoy them in those moments. When you're watching TV, watch TV. When you're with your son, be with your son. When you're working, you work. That is such a strong way to stay in the present moment that takes away the anxiety. So mindfulness meditation is another powerful meditation. My personal favorites, this was from another book by Paulo Coelho called The Pilgrimage. And this one helped me recover from like a very traumatic time many years ago. He has a bunch of different tools in there, but one tool that was really strong was the mindfulness walk. So he called it, and I love it, he called it a walk with no purpose. The book is called The Pilgrimage. It was about his actual pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela, which is in Spain. And it's like a huge walk that you have to do, like barefoot. People walk hundreds of kilometers. It was a religious pilgrimage, but it's very powerful in the tools he did, things he learned, the places he saw. It's an amazing book. But this mindfulness walk, I brought it up in Gauntlets like way back when. I haven't spoken to it, talked about it in the last year. All the time, as soon as we wake up in the day, we want to look at our phones. Whenever we want to do something, we want to look at our phone and think, what do I have to do next? This walk is setting aside 25 minutes of your day just for you. You can start small with 10 minutes if you want, go up to 25. They say do it after dinner or after lunch. I would do it after dinner because the streets were quiet. But in terms of safety, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that if that's not a safe option for you. So do it after lunch or maybe early in the morning. Don't take your phone with you. Leave your phone behind. You can even leave your watch behind. And what you're going to do is you're going to walk at 1/3 of your usual pace. So you're going to walk really slowly. Most of us, again, always walking with an intention to go somewhere. This is a no going anywhere exercise. Walk at 1/3, even 1/4 of your pace, and observe for 20 to 25 minutes. You're just walking with no purpose. You can go in any direction you want, take new routes every day, but just observe every small detail of things around you. Even the way the leaves like rustle, even the way like the dust moves, even if someone's going or coming, and anytime you have a thought that comes into your head, because that's again the perpetuation of the monkey syndrome and the anxiety, bring your focus back into the present moment. Look back into like, oh wow, look at that thing, observe it, feel the beauty of the world that exists all around you every single moment, whether you're asleep or awake or anything. Just look at all of that magic slowly. In the beginning, it feels weird. For me, when I just went through a breakup and I first started doing it, it was constantly fucking thoughts of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? How do I get it back? Blah, blah, blah. But you keep trying to get back into that moment of looking at those little things. It's a practice and it's a discipline. And it's easier than perhaps a lot of other like inner work techniques, which you're like, oh, fuck yeah, this is way too hard. So do that slowly. And as you do it every day, you'll notice you start loving it. You'll start looking forward to that time because that's the time that your mind becomes empty. And the more you do that in that time and become more present and conscious to just stay present in that moment, you'll notice during the rest of your day, you're not even thinking as much. And the thinking is the real fear of the anxiety because you're thinking of something going to happen based on what happened before, right? So staying present without those thoughts is powerful, infinitely powerful. And that's a really one, the don't look at your phone one. And the last one I'm going to give you is, again, being present with all the small things you do. So cooking, for those of you who love to cook, that's a really powerful way to stay present. Those of you who like, a lot of the feminine creations are actually very much about the present. Art, singing, cooking, playing on music, on an instrument, any of those things. And they're really powerful. And the feminine is so powerful about the present because it's so powerful with flow and trust. So trust is what we'll talk about again next week. But you cannot have an anxiety of a particular moment and have complete trust for that moment at the same time. Would you agree? Because if you have anxiety, you're not trusting that it's going to go a particular way or that everything's going to work out, right? And if you really trust it, you have no need to have anxiety. So the two of them can't exist at the same time. Lack of trust is a wounded feminine response. Trust is a powerful feminine response. And so and control, by the way, which steps in, is a wounded masculine response. So you can see how you're like swinging all across the border. When you have a wounded feminine, the wounded masculine steps in to overcompensate. So when you step in with flow and trust, and we'll get to that later on, you allow everything to, take place the way it does. But by staying present in the moment more, you're actually unconsciously starting to trust the future more. Because you don't need to think, oh, what's happening next? What's going to happen next month? What happens tomorrow? What happens if they don't wake up? What happens if they don't get here? You're so in the present moment that you're allowing things to unfold in the way that they do. Now, here's a beautiful part about that. The stronger and more powerful you get in the present moment, the more powerful of a manifester you become about the future. And so you technically start to manifest everything you want to desire. But the funniest thing is you start to manifest it without thinking about it. You start to manifest it without trying to control it. And that's the law of abundance. The law of abundance is absolutely about trust and faith and not about scarcity at all. And so you manifest what you really will believe. And if you believe it, then you're trusting it. If you're trusting it, you're not anxious about it. So find things in your day that you really stay present with. So for some of you, it may be cooking, it may be like, dancing, it may be working out. For me, that's a really, really, really powerful one of staying in the present. It also helps your endorphins, like, shoot through your body. And that's amazingly helpful for you, again, to stay present, not be anxious. So give yourself a list of maybe 3 things that you get lost in when you do. If you've watched the animated movie Soul, it's a really beautiful, really cute movie. I'm sure a lot of you parents may have watched it. I loved it. And he talks about how when you get lost in the present moment, you're everything. So find the things that you get lost in the present moment and make sure you honor yourself by putting them in your day. The biggest truth I can tell you guys, and all of you are probably going to be like, what a quack. I'm going to say, fuck your jobs. Fuck everything you think you're supposed to do. Fuck every way you think you're supposed to show up for people so that you look better or feel better for other people. Because the moment you do that, you have complete trust in just who you are. You have complete love in who you are and how you're supposed to show up. And when you do that, you'll notice at work, everybody will be like, what happened to you? Like, how are you doing so well? They'll start to give you a promotion and they throw things at you and you'll be like, wow, I didn't even ask for this, but it's like literally coming your way. So by the way, I don't literally mean like, don't go to work. I mean, please go to work, but know that it should not be in the top 3 things of how you get validation for who you are. Trust me, from someone who's suffering from that, like constantly right now, because of my childhood conditioning, it's not worth the journey. And the last one actually that I'll jump into, which is very important and I'll share this with you guys on my social media because I follow a lot of neuroscience like journals. And I love neuroscience because I love a lot of science and that kind of stuff. But the effects of the cell phone and the media generation on our brains and on anxieties is, I cannot even tell you like how brutal it is. It doesn't mean that these are bad things, but what it means is we've got hooked onto them way too much because they're so addictive and they give us such a false sense of validation. Nothing in the world or none of those things can be or have to be used for bad, but we have to learn how to control ourselves, how to discipline ourselves. So some of the strong, easy recommendations I'm going to give you: don't use your phone. Don't use your phone 45 minutes before bed. Don't use your phone 45 minutes when you wake up, or even an hour. Sounds difficult for a lot of people. The first thing we do is we'll either wake up, like look at our emails, or go to social media. I don't even check messages from anyone. And it sounds bad again. I don't know if they're alive or they're dead, or they sent me a text saying like something happened, but I can't do it. So I just don't look at my phone for the first hour of the day. And your brain will want to convince you. Your ego will want to say like, no, but we have to check on these people. We have to make sure they're okay. Again, that's a lack of trust. You can literally create and shape things working out perfectly if you just trust those situations for yourself. So the reason why I say the first 45 and the last 45 is that's when your subconscious mind is most active. So when you first wake up, your mind is ready to absorb everything, which is why I say meditate first thing in the morning, and meditate if you want to last thing at night, or do gratitude just before you go to bed at night. Because those are the times when you can program your brain. And if you're programming your brain with your cell phone and with anxiety, that's what you're going to give yourself more of. So don't use your phone for those 2 times of the day. If you use, that's a good question. If you use your phone for guided meditations, that's fine as long as you can discipline yourself not to be able to look at anything else and just focus on that for like the 45 minutes. Then it's fine. But don't let yourself go into social media, messaging, any of those things. Then it's okay. And that's why I said there's powerful things about these tools that we have, for us. And during the day as well, try and limit your cell phone time. The reason why I say so much about the cell phones is because everything that we get validation from, like in terms of social media connection or instant gratification, really does come from a cell phone. It's so habitual for us to pick up our phone immediately and scroll or check something and do something. The less you're doing that, the more you're actually noticing the world that's around you, the more you're actually being grounded, and the more you're connecting with your present moment. So that's the last one I'll leave you with about the phone.
Hey, and welcome to the Inner Yats YouTube page. If you like our content, make sure you click the like and the subscribe button so that you get more of these amazing videos that keep coming your way. Hey, and welcome to the Inner Yats YouTube page. If you like our content, make sure you click the like and the subscribe button so that you get more of these amazing videos that keep coming your way.